We return. Ha ha ha. And y'all have just finished hanging out with Marinold, in her weird little tree hut. Yeah, and you're on the and like I think Turi has just like awkwardly stumbled onto the like swept dirt under the elm tree.
How recently has it been swept?
I mean, how does Turi work this out?
I would like the group to work it out so that we know if there will be...
Is someone rolling discern realities?
I can do that, maybe.
Because what happened here recently is a question.
Yeah, I want to know if there's tracks for the tortoise man.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So someone want to roll discerning realities then?
Sure. Maybe.
I will offer to help with the realities because I'm wizardy-wazardy.
Sounds good.
So it sounded like, Sketch is doing it.
Sketch is doing it, and Turi is helping?
Says wisdom, yeah.
Yep, and you get to reroll one if you want.
Oh no, that's my worst thing. Maybe I shouldn't have offered to do that.
You did it in the fiction, so now you have to do it in...
Too late!
Oh, I'm like, I'm gonna look for stuff, because I'm so good at that.
I mean, you've got a 9. If you want to reroll one of them, you could reroll the 4, but it has the risk of, like, bringing it down.
That was surprisingly...
Don't you still take the highest?
No, you choose to reroll one. And then you keep the reroll, right? That's how it works. That's why you can offer to... Sorry.
I understand.
That's why you can offer to help someone after they've rolled.
Yep, gotcha.
Because they have to keep whatever the reroll is. So yeah, what question would you like to ask?
Let's see. I think what happened here recently is probably the most useful for what we want to know.
Yep, sure. Someone with heavy, round feet, rather than long feet. Heavy round feet trudged off into the nearby bush, like down a path, down a way that could be a path, down whatever passes for a path these days. And while they were doing so, I think, dropped a piece of like wax paper, like a scrunched up piece of wax paper. But yeah,
I can pick that up.
Yes, you pick it up, and it and yeah, you open it up, and it says Ronald
Weasley.
No, it says Pag's fiery jerky, and then has a picture of like a deer with like fire coming out of its mouth.
Right, it's a wrap-up. They have enjoyed some spicy jerky.
Yep, but yeah, off down the path, that like you can see kind of the direction that it went. I'm assuming that you like follow that like path and those footprints.
Yes.
And yeah.
If I'm facing Beta,
I think Tortoise Man went this way.
If I'm facing Beta, is it left or right of the treehouse?
If you're facing Beta,
I'm looking back the way we came.
Yeah. If you're looking back the way you came, or back towards Beta.
Back the way we came, because that's really the only way we can.
Okay, cool. In which case, it's to your left. Cool. Yeah. And so you follow your way down here, and you find I think after a while you
Sorry, not related.
Okay.
No, sorry.
Wait,
I'm doing level up. I'm doing level up things. Yeah, I eat something.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think after a little while you just catch up to him because he walks really slow. Right? Like
It's a tortoise.
Yeah, I think he's wandering just plodding along, and I think he's got this like, he's got this deer head that is like stripped of skin and then jerkified. That he's just and like covered in like spices that he's just nibbling on, just like tearing bits off occasionally and chewing on it, and then wandering along for a little while. And like as you catch up to him, he like turns around and is like, "Oh, hello." He's
Hello.
played by someone in my head, but I can't
Hi.
remember. Yeah, he's like, jerky?
No, Turi.
He's like, ah. He's like, jerky. Turi? Jerky. What's his name?
Harold.
Dendron jerky. Eating.
Yes, I was making a joke.
Oh, he's like, oh! He has no eyes.
Oh, interesting.
Wait.
I can give it some eyes.
He's like a tortoise person, but like with like, and so like he has like a turtle like beak, but yeah, and has like a coat or kind of like a coat or tunicky type thing that like hangs over his shell and like over his arms and things. But yeah.
Does he look around like he can see?
No, he's responding to sound. Like that's the reason that he turned around before, like you got too close, right? Is he heard you moving?
I'm just gonna straight up ask him, excuse me, did you have eyes before? Did somebody take your eyes?
And he's like, oh no. And like he's got scars where his eyes were.
Okay.
He's like, I've been walking. He sits down in the dirt and is like, I'm worn out. What a big day.
Where are you going?
He's like, I'm blind. I can't see.
So you don't know where you're going. You're just
He's
going
like-
somewhere.
He's like, for a wonder, maybe. I think he turns to Niabi and is like, oh, you're very warm. And like holds his hands out as if he's like, right? Like,
Oh.
yeah, I think he says, from inside.
Turi will ask. Sorry for being airy about that, but I like the context of being in third person.
That's okay. You do you.
Turi will say that you are rumored to give wisdom for tradesies. I am looking for a man known as Atsis. She does air quotes, even though neither of them can see it.
Yeah.
Have you seen Atsis?
He's like, oh, that man is very sad.
Yes. I seek to alleviate his depression.
He's like, that's very nice of you.
He's a very slow tortoise, isn't he?
What kind of things do you like to eat? We heard that if you give wisdoms, we should give you food, but we don't know what food you like.
I do like sharing a meal with someone. He's like, so much out here is so. I think he says, when you go foraging for roots and things, they're so flavorless.
I just realised that aren't tortoise herbivores?
Yes.
Tortoise.
Tortoises are herbivores, yes.
And he's eating a deer?
He's eating a jerkified deer head, yes.
Is it clear that the skull is still in the head?
Yes, it is. I mean, but at the same time, when things are like a such and such person, they tend to be more omnivorous, right? Like more omnivorous, not necessarily like that. They still probably have a preference.
They have difficulty eating lettuce as it is. Imagine them eating jerky.
Their mouths aren't very good at.
I mean, his mouth seems to be very good at he uses his beak to tear bits off the head, right? Like.
Yeah, I can imagine that working actually. That's quite scary.
Yeah, the hardest bit for him is holding the whole head in his stumpy hands.
Yeah.
Whenever you physically describe an ailment, my brain immediately goes, I could fix that. Transfigure. Turi will offer up the berries that Marinold gave them, suggesting that they could round out the meal.
He's like,
the palate, as it were.
He's like, yeah, I think he takes them and is like, oh, thank you. If you're not going to miss the, and eats some of them and is like, yeah, yeah, and is just occupying himself with eating.
Turi asks, did you have any wisdom for Atsis?
Yeah, and he's and I think he says Atsis is very upset, and when you're upset, you tend to take any offer of help that seems like it will make you feel better, and forget to accept the help that actually will. He says, Atsis, the help that Atsis has accepted will make him will probably make him feel better. It's probably not what's best for him, though, or those around him.
What help has he accepted?
He's like, yeah. So now he's finishes eating the berries, and he's like, I think whatever was offered to him first. Right, his tone of voice has changed again, right? For a moment there, it was a slightly deeper, more thoughtful tone.
Because I offered him aid, and he just kind of was gloomy and then left.
He's like, you're the one that he said was going. You're the one that is going to help him with his with the offer he was given. Yes, I remembered this. Or rather, yes, that makes sense. I don't think he says he remembers it. I think he says, that makes sense.
Can you help us find him?
No.
Because you're blind.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, yes. He's like, if you're lost though, I can guide you back to the well.
You've made a very clear path for us.
He's like, oh, have I? Excellent. He's like, I just normally find it by smell. It smells awful.
What kind of wisdoms do you usually give people? Do you just give them wisdoms that they don't like?
He's like, no. Sometimes people. He's like, people are very funny about when you talk honestly. I find that people who are very who are already troubled often ask questions that they don't want to hear the answers to. People
I
who are
like
feeling,
kind of nod when he
Yeah.
says like people don't like it when you talk honestly. Like I nod, just sort of like.
He's like,
Yes,
if
I
people
found
are in
that.
a good mood though, they'll usually ask simpler questions. Then and he's like, I don't think people like complicated answers.
Apparently 2 hours ago, Kaiju gifted me
Yeah.
Yes.
your one sub. I didn't see
Yep.
that. I've only just got the
Oh,
notification.
Yeah.
Oh. Yep.
Yeah. And
Thank you, Kaiju.
we were like, yay, in the chat. Yeah.
I think I look around at the others, and like particularly at I would remember everyone's names, particularly at Nyabi and Sketch, and I say, are you looking for any wisdoms that you may or may not like? I'm not really looking for anything.
I'm more interested in what wisdoms other people have gained.
You want to know other people's wisdoms?
Apparently, Miyabi displays her bracelet of sacrifices.
I think like, well, yeah, I think there's this thing of like he when you say that, I think he points to Nyabi and is like, this one doesn't want to ask questions because she knows she won't like the answers.
Well, now you've
sorry,
got to
they,
ask
sorry,
questions.
they. Is it she, her, or the?
Accurate.
Yeah.
No, I think it was she, her.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Sketches they.
Oh, Sketches they. Yep. Yeah. This one doesn't want to ask questions because she knows she won't like the answers. Right. Like, and gives himself this little like chuckle.
I like turn to Nyabi with a very serious look, and I like put out a hand and don't quite touch her shoulder, but like put the hand near her, and I say, you should try to be brave and ask questions anyway.
I stared out at my bracelet a little bit and then turn to him and say, do you have any idea what this is? Because I don't.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, of course you don't. You don't want to remember. It's all over your face. He's still talking.
I kind of like shuffle closer.
Yeah, he's still talking. Like, yeah, he's currently still talking in his upbeat tone as well.
What's all over my face?
Yeah, and he's like, you're so scared.
I think I say to him, why aren't you putting on your wisdom voice?
He's like, oh, and like pecks his thing and is like, and is like, it's like, oh, I'm just having a casual. He's just like, oh, just having a conversation. Would be nice if we could share a meal.
Oh, yes. And then I like turn to Nyabi and I say, oh, he can't give you any wisdoms until we give him the food. That's how it works. We've got to find some food to have together.
Yeah, like mechanically out of character. Like, he answered one question from Turi in his wisdom voice, in return for the nuts and things.
I look down at my dungeon rations and I just say, he's probably not going to like these, is he?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you offer them to him?
I'll hold them out to him and say, Would you like some?
He's like, huh, and like I think he reaches into his into his pack. I think he has like a little like side satchel thing or whatever, and pulls out like a little like crock pot, and it's like, if only we had a fire.
We can make a fire. I know how to make a fire.
Is this a good camp spot?
Is it a good camp spot?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question.
That's up to
I
you.
think
That's
I have
like,
like a thing for.
yeah,
Ooh.
you can just say whether or not it is. I'm asking you.
Okay.
Sure.
I think I would
Yeah.
know. I think I would know enough about like
Yep.
the wilderness to know what a good camp spot looks like. So, if it's like clear and we wouldn't catch things on fire, then I'll say, "Yep,
And it's like not full of traps either.
yeah."
Yeah,
Ooh.
cool. All right. He's like,
Right.
okay, and like pulls out like a little pillow, and like sets it down, and then and like puts the and like feels around and finds whatever sticks are within his immediate vicinity, like puts them next to the thing for someone to make a fire, and just
I will
like,
make the fire.
yeah, cool. In that case, it sounds like you're the one making the camp roll.
Sure.
Now, so the rules for a camp roll are you get +1 because you haven't done more than one like traveling today, and also if everyone consumes a ration before, so like take your rations, like hold on to the rations you've got, Viv, because we'll just do the math this way first. Everyone marks off a ration, and then in order to like eat at the camp themselves, and then Emily gets an extra +1, so that's +2 for the camp roll.
Okay, and it's just a basic. Is it based on a?
It's not based on a stat; it's just +2.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the special moves are often not +.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Wow. Anyone want to help? Anyone want to help me?
I'll offer to help, especially with making the fire.
Awesome.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh my
It
god.
does.
All right. So yeah, you want to reroll that 1M? Gets you up to
Well,
a
it's
7.
a 7.
Yeah, which means that everyone has one camp action. Now, for every ration that you give him, he can do a telling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, there are 2 camp actions which are like share a moment and listen to a moment. So basically, if you give him a ration, he will share a moment that you can listen to, which is answering basically a question. But you would have to use your camp action to do the listening,
To listen.
because the important thing here is sharing a meal and talking over, like having a conversation over a meal, is how he gives wisdom.
And then we mark XP because he's telling us a story.
Yes. So yeah, if you want a question to be answered with wisdom, then he will do that. Then you can use your camp action to give him a ration, and he will tell you wisdoms. And you
I
mark
would like
XP.
to contribute to the hot pot.
Yeah, cool. So mark off a ration for the hot pot, and yeah, what question do you ask him?
I mean, it sounds like Niabi was in the process.
Niabi was doing that first. So
Asking.
yeah, Niabi.
Yeah, I'm just saying I am going to ask.
Yes.
Yep. So
Yes,
Niabi,
yes.
what's mark off a ration that you're giving him, and what is your question for him that you want wisdom about?
Do I just reduce the number of rations that I have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you've marked off 1 for eating yourself and 1 for giving him.
Okay, I give him the ration and I say, "Can you tell me why I have this?" Showing him my bracelet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he's like, sometimes we have to do terrible things to survive, and those things might break our heart, and we might not want to remember them, and we might not be able to go home. And so, especially if the things that the terrible things we have to do are at our home. And sometimes we take with us a memento to remind us of the thing that we don't want to remember. And he's like, he touches it, and like I think he touches his tongue to it, and I think he says, it's still got ash on it. He's like, you haven't been wandering long. I'm impressed that you've forgotten so quickly. He's like, and I think he like takes your hand and is like, still ash on your hands. And he's like, not just wood, other living things too. He's like, I think you could probably still smell the smoke if you tried hard enough.
What did you do?
I am visibly uncomfortable and disturbed.
Yeah. He's like, but we do these things because we must, not because we want to. You mustn't, he's like, you are not a person that would take joy in this, or you would remember it. Do not hold your, do not punish yourself for a thing that was not a sin.
That's a good sign.
I go a little bit quiet and sit back and mutter thank you.
I think then he's like, but you've made like, and his voice switches again, and he's like, but you've made such interesting friends along since then. How did you meet these sorts of people, right? And like he jumps back into the like regular flow of conversation.
Yep. And I'm gonna stop and think for a moment and go, I actually don't remember either.
He's like, that doesn't sound like something you've chosen to forget. That sounds like something. That sounds like the forgetting is happening to you.
Forgetting happens to everyone a lot.
He's like,
doesn't it?
He's like, but he's like, yes, some more than others, and sometimes it. I think he says sometimes forgetting happens, and sometimes it happens to you. When you what's the way he phrases this? He's like, sometimes I forget things, and sometimes the forgetting happens to me.
I don't understand. What's the difference?
He's like, I'm not sure I can. He's like, I'm not sure I know.
Is it like someone's taking away things?
He's like, I'm not sure memories are things.
That's a good wisdom.
He's like, oh, is it? Excellent. I'm told I'm very wise.
Mm-hmm.
After we...
mark an XP, Niabi.
yeah, for hearing a story.
Yeah, you actively listened to a story, so good job.
After... Man, so this is going to be like sausage and bread stew with like sunflower seeds in it. Pumpkin seeds.
Yeah.
What sort of melons were?
Pumpkin?
It was mangoes. It was mangoes.
Oh, there were mangoes.
Yep. Big mango pits in the soup. Stone soup. I think Turi will begin to explain what she knows of Atsis in that he says that he was cursed by Shobi. And he was granted unlife, as it were, and can no longer wander in the sun. And what else do I know about him? And
That he. There's a bunch of stuff we learned really early on. That like during the time that he was in power, there was a ban on like wearing iron helmets or something. There was something about like not being able to wear metal on their heads because of something to do with his crown. I wish I could remember the details of it.
he was the only one to be crowned.
Yeah, or something.
Was that a thing about a ban, or was that a thing about like? I think there was a cultural shift more than a ban.
Yeah,
but I would have
true.
To go back
You're right. It was more that it was like there was a fashion.
Yeah, people just.
Was it a fashion to not wear metal on your head, or to wear metal on?
I think it was to not wear metal. It was just a, like, no. For a while there, it was like, why would you, like, waste metal on that or something?
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to say.
His head is missing.
His head is missing?
His head wasn't missing when you met him.
No.
Well, didn't we find his body at some previous time and it didn't have a head on it?
Yes, you have his body in town without a head on it in a coffin. Yes.
There we go.
That is not clear in the coffin involved.
He had a body when you met him.
So he's the one crowned king who has been cursed by Shobi to wander the night and doesn't like being eternal.
What a sad story.
Hmm.
When a king has served his nation, he should be allowed to rest.
And so he doesn't. I'm not sure what I'm angling for here.
Are you just talking about Atsis with him?
Yeah.
I think he says. A man who's a king who serves his nation should be allowed to rest. One who forges a nation, crafts it from the very land, and expands its borders, as Avio teaches us is right. He should be allowed to rest doubly. To wake such a man. Rude.
Why has Shobi done so?
He's like for a being that is eternally old, you'd think Shobi is yet still so young.
And perhaps misguided?
He's like all of the wardens are misguided.
I agree with him there. I'm not sure what else.
I think he says all of the wardens are misguided. They look too kindly upon us, and thus take on our foolishness.
So perhaps Shobi was sad that he was gone.
He's like, she's like, sorry. He's like, perhaps grief, perhaps sadness that maybe he at a lack of what he represented, perhaps simply grieved that someone took away a toy. Who could know? She is after all the fickle one. Perhaps malice.
Shobi is the daughter of Avion Oli, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what else to do, to ask, to converse.
Yeah, he.
Besides, like, do you know where he is?
Yeah, and I
Which
think
way he wants.
I think he I think he says I think he says Atsus wonders. Atsus wonders where he can. What freedom he can find in the night. He's like, I found him because he called to me. Another found him because because he was called to.
Cool. So we can find him.
He's like, everyone finds what they're looking for eventually. The question is, what were they actually looking for?
I sort of mumble to myself, that's my question.
Yeah, he's like, he's like, it's a very good question. He's like, do you know what you're looking for?
Who, me?
Yes.
No.
He's like,
Am I supposed to know?
he's like, I find it helps.
That's right. I want to know because when Chiri got the magic rock in her head,
Mm-hmm.
around her faceplate turned to like soot,
Mm-hmm.
and that is similar to Axis's condition. And so I
Mhm.
think that's the link I was going for there.
I mean, yeah, I think,
Well as immortalness.
yeah, I mean, if you ask him about that, he says something like, I think he says something along the lines of, death isn't so you're mortal still as much as one can be. There is a state that is like this, and sorry, he says you were mortal as much as one can be. There is a state very much like this, its reflection or shadow. I think that is what you are now. I think you are drifting into it, slower than most.
Cool. Does anyone else want some wisdom?
I look at Sketch. I just look at Sketch.
Sketch looks
Curious.
back at you impassively.
Yeah, I think he like looks at the two of you and is like, yes, no questions from those who only want others' answers. And yeah, I think he stops for a little bit and is like, stops for a minute and is like, still alike, always still alike.
And I look to him, and then I look back at Sketch, and I say, "Are we alike?
He's like,
Sketch and me."
he's like, how could you not be?
Do you mean because everyone is alike?
He's like, he says, everyone is alike, but only in but some more than others. He turns to Niabi and is like, not many like her left though. No, sorry, not many alike to her that left though.
I like look to Niabi, and I'm like, special. Are you special?
I'm nothing special.
There are two other immolators in Beta.
But yeah, he's like, you don't need my wisdom. The only way the two of you will learn, anything, is asking each other.
Huh.
That could go on forever.
Yeah, and I think he says, only if it starts.
Yeah, and I think like Bao has this really like interesting, like she just looks like she's just sort of staring at Sketch and like blinking in like surprise and kind of like a happy surprise. And she keeps sort of like opening her mouth and then just like closing her mouth again and opening her mouth again and just closing it. And she just looks and she like sort of like turns her head a bit to the side and says, I don't know what to ask at all. I don't know anything about this person. And like somehow that seems like really fascinating to her. She's just like, and then she sort of like says like directly to Sketch, like, yeah, I don't know anything about you at all. Do you want to swap blood?
Wow.
Does that count as sharing and receiving a story?
It would count as sharing and receiving a moment.
Yeah.
You will use my face.
I might do. You can use mine though if you want.
Sketch thinking hard about this.
Can they
Involves
tell that
staring
each of them is faceless?
There's no
I don't know.
obvious
I don't
thing.
know about Sketch, but I'm just assuming that this is a thing that anybody could do.
There's not an obvious
Right,
thing
okay.
here, right? There's not an obvious thing of like, yeah. It's not like you both have like the faceless thing that tells someone that you're faceless, right? That's not how facelessness
No.
works.
We were referring more to the thing with watching Bird Lady
Mm-hmm.
and doing the mimicry, and that like not many people would do that unless it was useful to them.
Do you want to be smooshed into one coherent being? Because I can do that.
No.
No.
I thought that might be the extension of sharing blood.
No. We just here.
no.
I'll go first. It's just like this, and I just like get out a little dagger and like sort of slightly prick my finger, and I just hold my hand out, and I go, yeah, you can if you want.
Sketch and
Put it in
Hassan
the
just
soup.
takes blood like off your finger with their finger and like puts their finger in their mouth like they're tasting the soup.
I like nod, and then I just like look expectant.
Yeah, they do it back very slowly and deliberately.
Cool. Yeah, and I do the same thing, and sort of like make a kind of noise, and like yeah, I think like her pupils kind of like dilate a bit, and she's like, oh, weird. Oh, that's weird. Thanks.
Can I ask the tortoise what wisdom they seek?
Mhm.
What wisdom the tortoise seeks? Yeah.
Yeah, what does Dendron want to find? No.
He's like, I'm very happy we've made such a nice campfire. It's warm, and this is a good soup.
I would need to give him more stuff. But perhaps not this time.
Like, he seems to be answering genuinely, just not with his deep voice, right? Like,
Oh. He just wants lunch. And friends.
I think he like starts humming a little song to himself, right? Like, yeah, like just like a happy little humming.
Why?
Do you not seek anything?
He's like, right now? Like he interrupts his song, right? Oh, right now? No. Maybe he's like, in a minute, I will seek some sleep.
What did you seek from Marinold?
He says, oh, I was just visiting a friend. She seemed very upset about her letter, though. Ugh.
Can you remember what the letter was about?
And I think he says, family matters, always the trickiest. People so often feel like those bonds are stronger, and that sometimes they bind you.
Hmm. Do we want to finish up the campy session?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like everyone has used an action to mark an XP for exchanging moments either with the tortoise or with each other. And yeah, we can wrap up the camp, and yeah, the night passes. The night passes, but in the wee hours of the morning, the rain claps, right, and the rain just sets in again, right, suddenly, in those big heavy drops again, and and the tortoise definitely Dendron definitely just in his sleep withdraws into his shell. But yeah, everyone else wakes up from the rain and has to move themselves into the shade of a tree or something, before getting back to bed. And then yeah, the next morning awakes. The next morning is one of those mornings where it's sunny, and then suddenly, and then sunny again, right? Where the rain is passing in fits and starts. And yeah, I think when you wake up, you can see muddy footprints of Dendron, just continuing on the way he went, the way he was going. But yeah, he's clearly woken up before the sun and just toddled along. Should we take a break there?
What do we want to do next?
I think it's a good time for a break, so let's do that. And then we'll come back for the last little bit. So we'll be back shortly.